We've been defending the world for decades. Through NATO, with American soldiers and taxpayer dollars, all to keep other countries safe. But it's not just defense. Americans pay more for medicine because European countries refuse to pay their fair share for the drugs we invent. This has to stop. President Trump will negotiate stronger trade deals, just like he did with NATO, and he will stop the foreign freeloading.
We begin with a Fox News alert. We're awaiting an update on the search and rescue efforts in Texas following the horrifying catastrophic flooding, and we'll bring that to you live. The big, beautiful bill is a major victory for President Trump, although the coverage has been mostly negative. But the bizarre sideshow featuring Donald Trump and Elon Musk, the president ominously posting that Musk gets plenty of federal contracts.
We might have to put DOGE on Elon. You know what DOGE is? DOGE is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible?
Musk says he regrets that chainsaw moment, and last night he says he's forming a third party. Asked if he tried to deport Musk, Trump said, "I don't know." But wasn't he the president who was vouching for Musk's citizenship when he made him first buddy and the second most powerful man in government? President Trump slammed the Democrats, whose votes he didn't need.
They wouldn't vote only because they hate Trump. But I hate them too, you know that? So it's sort of, I really do, I hate them. I cannot stand them because I really believe they hate our country.
Joining us now to analyze the coverage, Robbie Soave, senior editor at Reason Magazine. And in Colorado, Lucy Caldwell, a board member at Renew America. So, Robbie, now that the bill has passed, and Elon says he took an unscientific poll, 2-1, they want him to form a third party. How much impact can that have?
Well, it matters if Elon withdraws his support for Donald Trump. He obviously gave tons and tons of money to Trump's reelection. And I think most importantly was Twitter's effect on the election. X. He created one of the most important social media platforms for getting out the Trump message, for amplifying Trump on social media. So if he decides he doesn't want to do that anymore, I think that could hurt a little bit. But look, they have a difference of opinion, right? Elon hates this bill. I agree with a lot of Elon's criticisms of the bill. They're working out in public, and that's fine. This is normal. Democrats in the media don't understand this because there isn't enough internal debate and disagreement among cultural elite tastemakers. They have a policy disagreement. They're working it out in public. That's fine and can be healthy. I don't think Trump should retaliate, and I don't think he will.
Well, rhetorically he is, Lucy, and when he's threatening to have Musk investigated, as we just saw, the implication being his government contracts could be cut off. Is that politics as usual?
No, absolutely not. And obviously, I think it's completely legitimate to take issue with the way that the federal government, throughout many administrations, has doled out contracts to billionaire titans of industry like Musk. But put that aside for a moment. That is a policy issue to have a separate discussion of. This is not normal. There is nothing normal about a president of the United States threatening deportation to a business leader who is opposing him. And I can't stand Elon Musk, but this is completely inappropriate. There is nothing normal about a president of the United States threatening to obliterate the businesses of someone who's a former, as you say, first buddy turned political adversary. This has nothing to do with tastemaking. This is Donald Trump's playbook authoritarianism.
I think Musk misses the glamour of being in the Oval Office, but Robbie, we played the sound, the president saying he hates the Democrats because he believes they hate the country. I know a lot of Democrats who I don't think hate the country. What do you make of that?
Yeah, we were all patriotic Americans, Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, and 4th of July is a time when we come together. But we have serious fundamental disagreements, and I think that's what Trump is getting at. I disagree very respectfully with what Lucy just said. There are many Democrats. The reason Elon Musk is talking about starting a third party instead of going back to the Democrats is because he and every other tech leader knows that the Democrats have one agenda when it comes to tech policy, which is antitrust, which is breaking up big companies, thwarting American innovation, breaking up Facebook and Amazon and Google and all of Elon's companies. The reason they were in the Trump fold is because there's an Elizabeth Warren hostility to business, to how they make their money, how they grow those companies. That's why these tech CEOs, they're going to flirt with Republican parties, third parties. They're not coming home to the Democrats because of how hostile Democratic political officials are to their businesses.
Well, in fairness, Lucy, when he says the Democrats hate the country, many of them also hate him. Many of the people in the media are being very negative in the coverage of this bill, which is a big victory. You can argue that it's going to be problems next year because it cuts Medicaid and so forth. But on a July 4th weekend, saying you hate the other party, and again, he's counterpunching, isn't exactly a unifying message.
No, it's not. And Robbie, I'm not sure what you mean about disagreeing with me, because I didn't say anything about Musk and the America Party or whatever it transmogrifies into. But in terms of the policy disagreements, and in terms of, look, I don't know why we're using this segment to carry water for Donald Trump. There is nothing about either party that is moored in policy. I mean, it is David Sachs and the Republicans and Steve Bannon who have decided that Lina Khan, Joe Biden's FCC lead, is actually great. So I don't think that either party necessarily is moored to policy. What is at issue here is the rhetoric of how Donald Trump talks about Democrats, talks about former allies who have been big boosters of him the moment that they turn on him. That is the ugliness that we need to get at. We could have a separate discussion around antitrust, but that is not what this moment reflects. This moment reflects a president who is willing to throw out all the stops to punish his rivals and to really foment hate among the American people on July 4th weekend.
The media, Robbie, are playing up certain things, such as 11 million people could be kicked off the Medicaid rolls. And that's a program that President Trump promised to protect. He told me that in 2015, and along with Medicare and Social Security. And it's not just waste, fraud, and abuse, and it's not just illegal immigrants. A whole lot of people, many of them who are Trump supporters, will be hurt by this.
It's true, and Trump has tried to rebrand the Republican Party as the working class party. The issue is, look, we're just too seriously in debt. You're right, we can't solve our debt problem by just cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. Everybody agrees on getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. Elon tried that, and while I'm a fan of his, I admit we couldn't find enough to balance the budget. That means there have to be cuts that will be painful in some place, but the media never talks about how allowing us to be so in debt is going to be a cost we pass on to our children and our grandchildren. It's so easy to have a story from liberal media outlets about how, oh, this program is going to be cut or this person is losing their benefits. And yes, that is sad, but we just don't have enough money. We have to find ways to cut. We got to cut health care or defense or Social Security. It's the actual things our government spends money on. We don't have enough money. We have to do these cuts. They're going to be painful. It has to happen.
Right. The Democratic argument is that, there's a big tax cut, which obviously costs the government a lot of revenue. And so given the fact, Lucy, that the estimates are that this could cost the government as much as $3 trillion over the next decade, is it fair to say that Donald Trump and the Republicans are big government conservatives?
Well, there's a reason that people like Rand Paul are on the outs with Donald Trump. Put Musk aside for a minute. Rand Paul voted against this bill because he said this simply is not sustainable. We cannot continue to be part of this culture of expanding just sort of monumental national debt. And he is one of the lone Republicans who seems to care about that issue anymore. That is an issue that when I was working on the conservative side of the aisle, we were talking about the balanced budget amendment. We were talking about how to balance our national debt, our deficit, how to bring things into control. And we are not there anymore. So yes, we are in a different era now. There's something very, very cynical about the implementation of this bill, which is that most of these changes, these cuts, are not going to take effect until after the midterms, right? So, you can see the way in which the Republicans not only have shown they have no care in the world for fiscal conservatism, but also that they are going to make some of these cuts in a way that will insulate them from any kind of electoral repercussions of their actions. And those are Trumpian politics as usual.
All right. Trump was very tough on one of the bill's critics, Senator Tom Tillis, and the next day, Tillis announced he's not running for re-election. So this is Donald Trump's Republican Party.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.